is a man buried in a wall at an abandoned cement plant in the ghost town of LeHunt, Kansas. Let's start with some background on LeHunt. It was once upon a time a thriving community between Independence, Kansas, and what is now the site of Elk City Lake in Montgomery County. Its most prosperous years were in the early 1900s, after a cement plant was built. The cement plant was reportedly operational from 1905 to 1917, and after it closed, the community was mostly abandoned. This is as far as you can go now down the old road that led to LeHunt without getting permission. Montgomery County officials have been limiting access to the site for many, many years. However, you can go down the old road to LeHunt to access the cemetery, but you need to call the sheriff's office in advance. If you were to drive through the gate and down this road to the cemetery, you will pass by the old cement plant along the side of the road, or rather, what remains of this cement plant. It's my understanding the cement plant property is owned by some out-of-state company that, for all practical purposes, is just a successor to the original cement plant company and has little to nothing to do with the property today, except be the owner of record. So, by now you're probably wondering, what's this business about a worker allegedly being buried in a wall at the cement plant? The story is, and it has been passed down for many years, that a worker was, when they were constructing the cement plant, caught in the cement as the wall was being poured. His co-workers were unable to save him, and he became trapped. There was nothing they could do. He was already dead, so they left him in the wall. Remember, this was 1905, a different time than today. Now, this probably sounds crazy, or, something you would think is surely just a weird rumor or some old urban legend. However, there is a strong piece of evidence which seems to lend some credibility to the story. At the plant site, there is a large memorial to a fallen worker named Boar. That's Boare. And we don't know if that's his first name, his last name, or just some sort of nickname. That's apparently all he was called, Boar. Now, I have actually had the opportunity to see this memorial in person back in 2003 when I worked as a newspaper reporter for the Independence Daily Reporter. I made contact with an elderly man, he was 73 at the time, who had a lot of ancestral family connections to LeHunt, and he took me and a photographer on a tour, and he actually had a key to the gate, which I think the gate is a little different now than it was back then when he took us on the tour. But somehow somebody had given him a key to the gate so he could go back and visit the cemetery and such, and we were able to see the memorial. Now, this is what the memorial looks like. It's on a long stretch of a wall in the plant. In one section you have where they put in a pickaxe or an axe and a shovel. Then they had another section where they had a wheelbarrow standing out, and then another spot with the name, Boare, Boare. Now, just as a disclaimer, I don't recommend anybody trespass and go try to look at it now. I mean, I'm showing you, telling you what it looked like back then, and that's really all there is to see there. And plus, when I went there, at least me and the photographer were with a guy who had a key, had access to the property. And this man confirmed that he was told as a kid, and it was passed along to him, that the man was buried / entombed, whatever you want to say, in the wall because he had fallen in and they were unable to rescue him. At the time I visited it, the axe had fallen out along with the handle for the shovel on the axe and shovel handle side of the memorial. However, you could still see the imprint in the concrete for what was there. The only thing remaining on that part was the shovel blade. The wheelbarrow was still visible, and of course his name was still visible, although not the easiest thing to read after years of weathering. So when you see this large memorial in person, it definitely makes you think that maybe there is some truth to the story. Maybe it happened as they say it happened, and as it's been passed down over the years. It definitely seems like a pretty large memorial. I mean, construction workplace accidents do happen that result in deaths sometimes, and it's obviously this memorial was made with materials they had on hand. I don't recall seeing, I don't think there was any plaque or anything explaining what happened, but I'm inclined, after having seen the memorial and everything, to think there may very well be a lot of truth to the story. I would personally like to see some sort of investigation, excavation done to determine if Boare is there, if the story is true. I don't know that any movement to do that and solve the mystery is going to gain a lot of momentum. Obviously, he has been there a very long time, allegedly. People have known about the memorial a long time, and at this point it would almost need to be an archaeological expedition, I would think, to get to the bottom of it. Of course, I guess if you went through the process and found his body there, then you would have to go through some process of probably reinterring the remains somewhere. That could be expensive. Obviously, it would be expensive to find him. We don't know for sure if or where he was buried, although my guess would be he is probably buried somewhere in a wall or in the concrete near the part of the memorial that has his name. That looks too much like a tomb or a grave to me. I don't think they would have gone to that much trouble to memorialize him without his body actually being there on site. Oh, by the way, the elderly gentleman who led me and the photographer on a tour up there back in 2003, he said he was told by his family that Boare was a Mexican immigrant. Obviously, there's no way to confirm any of that at this point. You know, some people might speculate that obviously there was a workplace death and Boare was a worker who died, but they may not believe that he was buried in the wall or left buried in the wall or the cement, and that his remains were, I guess, buried elsewhere off sites. But I don't know. I think the accounts of what happened and with the circumstantial evidence of the memorial on site, I lean more toward the theory that yes, he died in an accident and was left there on site. His body was left there on site. But this is a mystery that may never be solved until somebody, I guess, starts tearing down the walls that are left of the plant and discovers him. Also, some of the plant has already been demolished over the years, so it's quite possible if Bohr was buried in a wall there, it already has been removed. A lot of things that could have happened, quite a mystery. But I think there is some credibility to it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope you found this interesting. Have a good day.